weekend of February 24th, 2024 took me to the Game Castle in Santa Clara for the West Coast Quake. At 46 coaches registered, it was the biggest it's ever been, and with 15 years of experience for the event, Russ Castronovo ran as smooth a show as ever. What is up, coaches, cheerleaders, and/or warp spawn? For those who are new to the channel, this is mostly what I do. I talk about Blood Bowl tournaments, try to give it a sense of what it was like to be there. I cover North American ones, so Europe, you get to see what it's like over here. If you like what you see, like, share, sub, spread the love. I definitely put some time into these. They're a passion project. It's just kind of a thing, but any little bit of feedback always helps out. Now let's make like Led Zeppelin and go to California. The Quake always has a solid rules packet, and I think this year's was probably my favorite out of the three that I've gone to. We saw a large variety of lists with a lot of room for creative expression. There were 4 tiers with varying build totals. This event used gold to purchase skills, as well as players and inducements. Coaches were capped at 4 of each skill, but stacking was a non-issue. Any team could take a star, but they would be lowered a tier and have less to build with overall. A good example of the kind of creativity this supported was a list by Gus comprised entirely of skeletons with a ton of skills that I'll toss up on the screen here. There's also an all-halfling team, and we'll touch more on that later. I love jank, and I love seeing this sort of thing. I believe the creativity is also reflected in the team breakdown. The most we saw of any particular roster was 4, and that spot was shared by Skaven and halflings. This is an absolute first since I've been covering events. For 3-ofs, we've got Black Orcs and Necromantic Horror. The 2s are the widest spread, represented by Dark Elves, Elven Union, Goblins, High Elves, Khorne, Lizardmen, Orcs, Shambling Undead, Snotlings, Tomb Kings, and Vampires. Rounding off with the 1s, we have Amazons, Chaos Renegades, Nurgle, Old World Alliance, Slann, Underworld Denizens, and Wood Elves. Let's have a look at the top tables, starting with round 3. I like to start a couple rounds in because the field has kind of settled itself a bit more, if that makes sense. But round 3, the top 4 tables saw Elven Union versus Halflings, Necromantic Horror versus Slann, Black Orcs versus Old World Alliance, Shambling Undead versus Skaven. Round 4 top tables, we're looking at Elven Union versus Necromantic Horror, Orc versus Black Orc, Chaos Renegade versus Halfling, Tomb Kings versus Necromantic Horror. And just as a preview, Elven Union isn't going anywhere. Round 5 top tables, we're looking at Elven Union versus Orc, Necromantic Horror versus Tomb Kings, Chaos Renegade versus Old World Alliance, and Khorne versus Black Orc. Round 6 is shifted a little bit. We're looking at Elven Union versus Skaven, Tomb Kings versus Orc, Chaos Renegade versus Black Orc, and Skaven versus Old World Alliance. After the rounds were done, all that's left was the award ceremony.
Before that, thank you all very much. I appreciate you all being here. Hopefully it was fun. You guys. Oh, yeah. Thank you. So that's all, you know, you can do a lot worse than that in life. Worse ways to spend the weekend, I think. Thank you.
Legend, the lone wolf himself, Mr. Jackson.
Howdy.
How'd you do today?
We did well. Went 4-1-1 with orcs. Took second place.
Cool. What was your roster like?
We took. It was one of the rare tournaments that didn't penalize stacking. So I had 3 players that stacked 2 big-ins with block and guard. The other 2 big-ins had block. 2 blitzers with guard, a mighty well tackle blitzer, because you should never leave home without tackle, regardless of what Sean Colley says. And I had a sure hands blitzer because I didn't want to deal with the thrower and his lack of speed holding me back. So I had an 11-man roster.
With your matchups in mind, was there anything you would change coming back into it?
Not change. I would use my opponent's dice is what I would. That's all.
So
it was fun.
If you used your opponent's dice, what place would you have got?
Well, it would be 5-0. But no, it was good. It was a lot of adversity, and I joke with my buddies. I say adversity is the mortar in which I built my foundation on. So I got used to it again today. But we fought through a lot of it, and yeah. So no, I love the Orcs. I came here hoping to get second place in North America with Orcs. I don't know if I got there, but I think I'm right on the cusp. So
yeah, you're up there. What was it, like 5th or something?
I was coming into this. I was 7th, and believe 4-1-1 will get me top 3.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Rocky Mountain Rampage and maybe getting second place there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any advice for new people?
Don't be afraid to come out to tournaments. I've only been doing this 3 years. My first tournament, I was terrified. I got extremely. I got like sucked into the community right afterwards, and I've been traveling around the world doing it ever since. So yeah, just come out and play. Come out and play.
And I understand your coaching service is a premium, $1,000 an hour. But you might give a special discount to newcomers.
My coaching services are free. Steve Collins just won't do it. But but no, I enjoy coaching more than I enjoy winning. So that's why I said whoever needs help, I will gladly help. I got 2 buddies I'm coaching right now. One of them finished 10th at LVO, which we're stoked for. The other finished 25th. So yeah, it's
nice.
Yeah.
Any shout outs you want to give?
I want to shout out Russ and Zuzu Jeff for inviting me out here. I would have never come out here were it not for Blood Bowl. I'm really happy I did. Saw a lot of sites and made new friends. So yeah, it was a great tournament. Largest West Coast Quake ever. So it was awesome to be a part of history.
Yeah, definitely. And this has been a good event. This is my 3rd year out here, so.
Yeah, no, it was tremendous. I want to make this a yearly event, so yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for talking to me.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Our overall champion, of course. Some of you played him. Danny, 6 of
Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Danny. I'm from Australia, but living in Portland, Oregon, and came down for the West Coast Quake.
Nice.
And was lucky enough to go 6 wins.
Yeah, you were the only undefeated, right?
I was. Yeah.
Nice. Was this your first Quake, or?
First Quake, yeah. It's my 3rd tournament, I think, in the US. I went to one in Portland. I went to the Chaos Cup a couple of years ago as well. So having a lot of fun and representing the Portland crew today.
Yeah, absolutely. I played a couple games up there, but I wasn't back in the scene fully then. But it's a good scene up in Portland for sure.
Yeah, no, they've been very welcoming to me, so that's been really nice.
Yeah, in general, the scene.
Weave and Burke, if you're listening.
Yeah. What were you running today?
I was playing Pro Elves, or Elven Union as they are now called.
Okay.
And yeah, they're one of my favorite teams to play. I actually won that team at a previous tournament and painted them up and put them on some ice bases, and so they're now the team that I like to play.
Cool. What about skill choices and stuff?
Skill choices. This tournament worked quite well for pros, which usually feel really tight for skills, but because you can basically get loads of skills and double up, that gave me a lot of flexibility. So my blitzers both had dodge and one had guard, the other tackle. And then I had 3 catches, 2 blodgers and a wrestle frenzy, just to keep people thinking about where that frenzy is going.
That's cool. Was based on your matchups, is there anything you would have done different?
Look, I think no, in the end I was really happy with how everything went. The guard on the blitzer was super helpful, probably won me a couple of games. So I was really happy with how they played in the end, and I would play them again, yeah.
Cool. If a new player wanted to go to tournaments and stuff, you got any advice for them?
Yeah, I'd say give it a go. I mean, everyone that you get to play is super friendly. The tournament organizers are really nice. It's a lot of fun, and you know that's the main reason that I like to do it. You get to meet a lot of people playing what I think is this secret, really fun game that most people don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you've already given a couple shout outs. Anybody else you want to mention? Anything you want to promote?
Yeah, look, I mean, Russ for organizing this conference. Thanks to him, and yeah, all of my opponents. I won't mention them all by name, but they're all super fantastic opponents.
Cool. Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Steve.
I want to give a thanks and a congratulations to TJ and Danny for doing super well and giving me a few words. I managed to get a few words out of Russ too.
Oh yeah, we're putting you on the spot. Thank you for running yet another, the biggest ever West Coast Quake.
That's right. We have 43 if you count me. Probably shouldn't count me, but you know, yeah, no, it was a good time. You had a good time?
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
We had several newcomers too.
Absolutely, like more than a dozen of them.
Yeah.
Right, and we get a good range of people from all over. Right, we get people from the Pacific Northwest. We get people, this time we got more people from Idaho and Colorado and that neck of the woods a little bit. And we even expanded locally. We had a half dozen people or so from the Berkeley area, which,
yeah,
if you're a San Francisco person, Berkeley's the other side of the bay, but it's still here.
Yeah.
You know, so we're making good inroads to them all. So no, it was a grand old time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just not going to use score again.
Right.
That was a nightmare.
I've seen issues more than once for sure. From people.
Well, it's operator error, like I said. You know, the problems are that, but it was just, I wasn't catching them fast enough.
Well, I've also seen a lot of operator error from the same thing, and that's the common element. And it's not
really easy.
It's not just
it's really easy. It's too easy to make a mistake, which is why I'm really intrigued by learning tour play, because a lot of that goes away.
Right.
I'm hoping.
If you had 3 sentences to give an aspiring Blood Bowl TO from your years of experience, what would you say?
Aspiring TO, keep the roster simple. Keep the rules simple as you can. Right? Because the more complicated the rules get, the more, you know, the day of, you're getting pulled in 15 different directions, and if you have to bust out a complicated rule set, you're not going to be happy. It's hard enough keeping your head in the game while the whole thing's going on. Make the rules simple.
Yeah.
You know, you can't balance it, so don't worry about it.
My trip to the Quake this year was definitely an interesting one. It's about a 4-hour drive from Reno, so it's not anything that's particularly strenuous, but it's not something that's, you know, like a no drive at all whatsoever. I ended up playing Underworld Denizens. I said earlier this year, I'm going to retire my Tomb Kings for a bit, and I want to get more to the dash side. I feel like switching up what I'm playing will ultimately make me a better player in the long run, and if nothing else, even if I don't enjoy doing it, maybe I can pick up some experience and be able to play those matchups better, kind of knowing what I'm going after. So let's look at my roster real quick. One of the big things, I was able to take Bomber Dribble Snot. With the rules packet, it did change my tier. I went from tier 1 to tier 0, justifiably so. Ended up losing 75k build total in the process, but Bomber's so cheap already, I kind of theorized it maybe costs him somewhere around fair, or at least fairer. From the top, I ran 2 rerolls, 1 bribe, Underworld Troll, did that over the Rat Ogre, to try to save a little bit of budget and to leave the throw teammate option. Turned out to be a decent call. I threw Prehensile Tail on the Troll. Normally I throw Guard on the Troll, that way I have an excuse not to activate it sometimes, and it can still be useful, or I can activate it as like a last action, just to throw like a random vomit or something. And at least it was useful, like up to a point. I figured with Prehensile Tail, it kind of gave me a tool where, again, I didn't have to activate it, but I might be able to tie up some key players potentially, or if nothing else, the threat of it made them have to base it with something, so I couldn't tie up some of their players that might have mattered more. We took a blitzer, mighty blow tackle, pretty straightforward. I wanted at least some kind of removal option. Gutter runner, we went blodge, pretty straightforward. So for the clan rats, the Skaven linemen, I took 2 wrestles. I just wanted more, ability to mess with the ball essentially, and that one's also a decent defensive skill, so maybe I could maintain a little more board presence with it. Then I went 1 block dauntless. Originally, I was gonna go wrestle strip ball. That traditionally is probably a better choice. Specifically, what I wanted here though was something that could take like a biggin or something off the corner of a cage. And the block dauntless, yeah, like I was pretty happy with it ultimately. Got a thrower with leader, 6 nuts, and then 1 goblin lineman with sneaky get, just as a fouling option. And then bomber dribble snot, aforementioned. My buddy Scream joined me for the trip. Was his first Blood Bowl tournament. New player, but picked it up really quick. On that note, I'm gonna link to his Twitch. He's a streamer, but there will be a link in the comments. I would ask that you go and just throw a quick sub on there. It would definitely help out for his end. But he was playing a Shambling Undead roster that I had written out. It was pretty straightforward. He picked up the team instantly. Apparently had some experience with Warhammer in the past and liked Undead, so seemed like a good fit. All right, chilling here with Scream, about to head out to the Quake. You feeling ready?
No, as ready as I can be. Actually slept pretty great.
Yeah.
The beds are nicer than I thought they'd be.
Yeah. You managed to kick my underworld ass pretty good last night, so
right.
Even with hitting your first tripwire, so congratulations on that.
Oh,
beautiful.
Man. That was great.
My round 1 was against Chris playing Tomb Kings. What's cool about that is Chris and I had played at a non-NAF event before, and he was the one who got me to actually start playing my Tomb Kings. I'd already had the team, but I played against his, and it just seemed really fun, and it was kind of my inspiration, so that drastically altered kind of my tournament history last year, obviously, so it was nice to be able to play again. I received, and Bomber was completely terrible, and I was set to score by turn 4, but I failed a 2++ gutter dodge to score. This was unfortunately a bit of a premonition of how some of my games were going to go. He secured the ball, ran back up the side, and any attempt I made to stop that from happening was failing. He managed to stall out successfully. Bomber didn't make it out of the half. And looking at my notes, it says by turn 8 I had 3 wildly inaccurates and had 3 turnovers due to failed dodges. Chris did everything right in terms of capitalizing on whatever went wrong and just making it way worse for me, such that going into the second half, I was already down some resources, and I knew it was going to be hard. He caged up, walked up, did the thing, and I had some creative plays. I had some ways I was trying to stop it, but nothing was really doing for me at that point. I gracefully failed a throw teammate on turn 16 to lose this one 0-2. The second round was against Mike's Black Orcs. There was some amazing freehand. I didn't get a good enough picture, but they were pink with like daisies on them, and it was pretty fantastic. I love to see that kind of thing. He kicked me to start the match, and I was able to get in pretty early and get my first touchdown. The Bomber, on my notes, it says 7 wildly inaccurates this event by turn 4. Yeah, Bomber was not doing his job, and granted it was completely disproportionate rolling, but it was pretty bad. Yeah. So, yeah, I managed to score twice in the first half. There was a bit of an emergency that popped up in the middle of the game. I'm not going to go into details, but I want to give huge props to the community. They did a great job handling it. People jumped to action, and we got it resolved in the best way that it could have been, honestly. But yeah, after that, we resumed our game. I also have in my notes here, cheering fans is dumb and unnecessary. Like, I remember vaguely, like, rolling it multiple times. I just hate having to reference another chart, and the chart sometimes just doesn't affect the game at all. But, I don't know. If you like prayers to Nuffle, more power to you. I was able to harass the backfield when I kicked to him, and take advantage of that. I did score another touchdown, but he came back, caged up, and managed to get one in right before the end. So I ended up winning that game 3-1. Game 3, I played against Steve with a Skaven. There were multiple Steves there, and I was glad to get matched up with at least one of them. Same thing happened at Everwinter for the Sevens event, but I don't know, Steves are magnetic or something. Either way, as far as the actual match went about how you would think Skaven versus Underworld would. I tripwired really early, and that was after I got off the Rat Ogre and escaped the tail. But he was able to recover it, run it up the side, kind of stall a little bit, and yeah. I have in my notes here that by the end of the first half, Bomber had 10 wildly inaccurates and 2 fumbles so far for the event, and I had hit 2 tripwires. So I don't like to blame the dice. I'm not one of those people, but they definitely could have been better. Steve played it right, did a Skaven. I had to kick to him in the second half, and they did their thing. I did try to foul at one point. Got doubles on the armor roll, but it was with my sneaky get. Then I got doubles on the injury, and then I got 1 on my bribe. But yeah, no, it was not necessarily going super great for the day. Again, he ran up the side with the cage, was able to score again, and I lost that one 0-2. Round 4, I played against Anthony's Halflings. This is the roster I mentioned earlier that was super fun to see. We had a really good time just enjoying rolling dice after a long day of blood bowling. Notably, Bomber finally bombed a cage and went off this game. I saw a couple removals early from my side, but I also saw a turn 3 touchdown, followed by a successful bribe to keep Bomber in. Then, after a failed halfling dodge, I was able to scoop the ball and score again. Amazingly, Bomber successfully argued the call to stay in. We hit a timeout result, and there still wasn't quite enough time for him to score. I received in the second half, and my ball carrier got stopped a couple times, but I managed to get 2 more touchdowns just before the last turn, resulting in a 4-0 win.
Nice. That's going in. Day 2 of the Quake. It's the morning. Got here way too early because that's what I do. Game Castle in Santa Clara, which I'm sure I've said like 14 times by now.
Round 5, I fought Nick and his orcs. I received the ball and picked a flank to run up. Bomber was still working and helping to clear the way, and my troll was taking most of the turns on this game too. I got a very lucky KO on the troll early and was able to reduce his board to 9 models, which stuck for the majority of the game and helped make controlling the space a lot easier. I was able to harass the backfield some, and that paid off in tying up some units, and his blitzer finally squeezed through some screens only to hit the tripwire on his one chance to score. I was able to steal it back and run it in for a turn 14 score, winning 2-0. Round 6, I played against Justin's Vampires, and this game was iconic to say the least. It'll probably be the one I most remember from this event. We've seen each other at other events, and this was the first time that we actually got matched up, so that was cool. Off the bat, he ate one of his thralls. He rushed up the side and scored very quickly despite my protests and screens. When we reset the board, Bomber failed his bribe with a 1 and was sent off. We rolled an officious ref kickoff result right after, and my sneaky git goblin got a 1 and was also sent off, which started spelling a bad time for the Deep Below residents. He failed a handoff, and my gutter stole the ball off the ground and took a mad dash out of desperation to try to reset the board. Despite my poor attempts to screen, a blitz resulting a POW into a 12 into a 12 made sure the gutter wouldn't see the rest of the action. More carnage was happening against my team, but after the vamp scoring again, I made a throw teammate on turn 8, so we were sitting at 2-1. I was down to about 7 players at one point, and it became evident that defending was going to be a losing strategy here, so I went for another throw teammate and got it. This truly was a Blood Bowl game now. He scored again with his runner, easily getting past my defenses as I didn't stand my players in fear of even more attrition. I set up another throw teammate attempt, and we rolled another officious ref result, this time resulting in the snotling that was my throw teammate ammunition getting stunned and completely ruining my setup. He managed to take the ball again, we danced around briefly before he scored again. Turn 16, I set up for one last throw teammate attempt and failed the handoff, sealing one of the most wild tournament games I've had, with me losing 4-2. Before we get to the list analysis, let's talk about the most important thing of all. I'm going to do my food review for this trip. So I brought a loaf of bread and some peanut butter and jelly. That was a lot of what I ate, just because when I'm at an event, like if it's something where I'm flying, I'll just try to hit up a McDonald's and get like 6 of the little like breakfast burrito things. They're easy to like carry around. I don't like having to sweat my last game, to try to make the lunch break longer. I just like to hang around. I usually have to shoot stuff too, kind of in the meantime. But yeah, so that was kind of my bread and butter, so to speak. But yeah, on my way out, I hit a Denny's, got basic little like French toast meal. I don't have a picture of the French toast, but they have one of the least offensive of the vinegar pepper sauces. It's like one of the least vinegary ones. Like I love pepper stuff, but when it's just all vinegar, it kind of kills it for me. But yeah, I didn't mind loading that up. Saved about half of that to eat later too. The big one though, something that I look forward to. I think it was after Vino Cup I tried it the first time. In California, there's a chain called Dave's Hot Chicken. Love it. It's just super good. Like the fries are like the perfect crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. The tenders are reasonable size. They have a bunch of different heat levels. I'm always going to go for the maximum one. And this one actually kind of hit me a little. Like they make you sign a waiver. I'll throw that up on the screen, but like, why not? Sometimes that kind of thing is blown out. But I'm pretty sure the spiciest one was Reaper. There's a place that I go to locally. I'll show you what that looks like. It's called Crazy D's Hot Chicken. It's kind of in the same vein. It's a bit more hole in the wall, kind of southerny. Whereas this one, I feel like when you order stuff, it's always going to come out the same. But yeah, food's good. Anytime I go out to Cali, I'm going to go to that place. Overall, I had a great time. I mean, at the bare minimum, Blood Bowl is Blood Bowl, but playing it with a bunch of chill folks is always fantastic. Always telling people, if you can make it out to a tournament, get out to one. I don't care if you've only played one game. You'll walk out of there knowing the rules really well, and you'll have gotten to spend time with a bunch of cool people. As far as my list, I would definitely cut the Sneaky Gate Gobbo. It's just unnecessary. I really like the throw teammate option from the Troll. I do think the Rat Ogre is better. So I would want something else that I could get from losing a tier, at 75k, and from taking Bomber out, that 50k, and taking out the Sneaky Gate Goblin. I'd want to use that towards something else. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm likely to run a similar list in the future. I walked in being like, all right, let's see how it goes. Then I walked out of day one going, I hate this roster. Then by the end, I was like, I actually really like this roster. I like the kind of the hyper scoring potential and everything. The all or nothingness, I think, can be toned down a little bit and made to be more stable. So I can probably optimize it. Shout out to anyone who helped out with the event. I saw a lot of people up at the front tables helping, not just Russ, like organizing it. So, I mean, that's what makes the event possible. I have not seen the final standings yet. I'm 3-3, which is my usual tournament. Like, I need to do at least this much to justify my existence. Again, this was meant to be a learning experience. I feel like I get it as far as dash teams. I get it a lot more, which I had a rough idea before, but that's different than being in practice and actually playing against people. It was really nice to see people that I met from KublaCon and Vino Cup. I guess it just didn't occur to me that it was literally the same region, so I'd probably see some familiar faces. But it was awesome seeing all y'all. Definitely be out for Vino Cup again this year, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be running an extra event at KublaCon too. We'll see if I can get all that sorted out. But yeah, I'll definitely post about it if it's coming up. Don't know what I'm playing for my next tournament. Apparently I'm somewhat high ranking in the US for Tomb Kings. Like, I didn't even know you could look up those charts. I just looked at them. And if I do well at one more event, like, it could boost me a bunch of spots. I kind of don't care that much. It could be kind of fun, but might also keep riding this dash train, see if I can't figure out more. At the very least, I know when I go back to a bash team, I'm going to have a lot more insight on what to prioritize. And I'll feel a lot more equipped. And I also feel very, very naked with Tomb Kings because you don't have a ton of tools to stop if your initial tools don't work, even though they're powerful. So maybe I'll be able to squeeze some utility out. I'll have to look into that more. Overall, though, get to a tournament, have fun, roll some dice, hang out with cool people. It's what you should be doing. Also, I heard somebody say, I think when they were doing the final announcements, that you should keep on watching. Turnover!